I'm Ed Trim. This is my beautiful wife, Dana Trim, and we have been going to this church since December the 10th, 1995. So this last Christmas, we celebrated 25 years as Word of Lifers.
Well, Ed and I, when we first got married way back in 1986, we struggled financially. And so I was raised in the Catholic Church, and Ed told me, he says, well, my mama always said you need to tithe. And I said, well, what is that? And so he explained it to me. He's paying, 10% to God. And I said, well, wait a minute, we can't pay our electric bill. How do you give 10%? And he said, what have you got to lose? And I said, well, I guess you're right. And I was just amazed at how we just gave that 10%, and God just started blessing us. I mean, we moved out of an apartment into a brand new house. A guy offered to give him money to start his own business. I mean, it was just amazing how God just worked in our life and blessed us. And so we've been doing it ever since. And we did it personally, and then with our business, once we bought out the Pennington of Pennington and Trim, we started tithing from our business as well. And God has just blessed us. And so we think there's nothing better than having God as your business partner and as your financial partner. And we think that not only does He bless you financially, but just like our marriage, our family, our health, God's always been so good to us.
Amen. I don't know if y'all remember right when the recession started. It was back around 2008, and it lasted to about 2013. And right in the middle of all that in 2010, we were struggling. The company was struggling. We've always done good, but in 2010, if you remember, the BP Horizon thing blew up. And I don't know how that affected Jackson, Mississippi, but it was like somebody just turned the valve off. Nobody was calling us for security. Nobody was calling us for anything. Our phones just turned off. And I was concerned. I mean, we had a big staff of people that, we're the breadwinners for them. We got a lot of mouths to feed. And about that time, Word of Life Church decided, I know, we're fixing to build a brand new facility out on Lakeland Drive. Well, in 1997, they did this pledge about the time they were going to build the church before Pastor Ronnie passed. And we had pledged to do all the security, all the cameras, everything that you need for the new facility. We'll take care of that. Well, in 2010, they built the facility. And we didn't have the money. We just did not have the money. And I told her, I said, we got to honor our word. You got to mean what you say and say what you mean. And so here we go. We got all these men out here wiring this building up for security and cameras. And, they wanted cameras everywhere. Everywhere there's a child, we want a camera watching to make sure that the child's protected well and the volunteers are protected as well. And pretty soon it was time to trim the job out. That means we had to go to the distributor and buy all the equipment. Money we didn't have. But when you say you're going to do something, you do it, and sometimes you just got to walk by faith. And that's a good thing to remember. It's easy to give in abundance, but God wants you to walk by faith and trust Him. So we bought all that equipment. We had 45 days to pay for it, and I can't tell you how, but somehow, some way, the money came in. People started calling, and I want you to know 2010 was a tough year. 2011 was a new all-time record year for the most deposits we had ever made in the history of our company that started back in 1987. 2012 beat 2011. 2013 beat 2012. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It started a back-to-back 6 straight years of record-breaking, and we missed the seventh by just a few thousand. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, God is not a man that He can lie. He watches over His word to perform it. And He said, trust me, a double dog dare you. And that's what we did. Your whole life you tried to do it in your own strength. Why not give God 10% and you keep 90% and get Him involved in your finances and see if He can't make a difference with just that small 10%. It's biblical.